Welcome back to Daily AI News at Let's Data Science. It's 2026-05-29. Today we're diving into some pivotal developments from the future of machine intelligence to major product launches. Let's get to it. We begin with a staggering funding milestone that underscores just how capital-intensive large-scale AI has become. According to reporting highlighted by Cryptonomist and Simon Willison, Anthropic has closed a $65 billion Series H financing round. The round was led by Altimeter Capital, Dragoneer, Green Oaks, and Sequoia Capital, and values Anthropic at a reported $965 billion post-money. Equally striking is the revenue figure attached to this raise. Coverage states that Claude, Anthropic's flagship model family, has crossed a $47 billion run rate revenue earlier this month. The financing reportedly includes $15 billion of previously committed investments from hyperscalers, alongside a broad set of institutional investors. For practitioners, this is not just a headline about valuation inflation. A Series H of this magnitude, paired with a reported $47 billion run rate, signals a transition from speculative frontier funding to capital deployment for large-scale production infrastructure. When hyperscalers commit capital at this scale, it often aligns with long-term compute procurement agreements, preferential infrastructure access, or deep integration partnerships. Technically, that translates into pressure across the stack: GPU and TPU capacity planning, inference cost optimization, enterprise deployment tooling, and safety and interpretability research. Anthropic has framed the raise as supporting safety research, expanded compute capacity, and scaling customer-facing products and partnerships. If you're building on Claude, expect potential shifts in pricing tiers, expanded enterprise integrations, and possibly new capacity agreements that affect latency and regional availability. The capital structure here suggests a company preparing to operationalize AI at industrial scale. Next, we turn to Apple, which appears poised to make a major statement about AI at the operating system level. Multiple outlets, including Bloomberg, The Verge, TechCrunch, MacRumors, and CNET, report that iOS 27 will include a sweeping redesign of Siri. According to Bloomberg's reporting and renders shared by Mark Gurman, Apple is introducing a new chatbot-style Siri app with persistent conversation history and support for text, voice, photo, and document uploads. The interface reportedly integrates into the dynamic island, presenting a pill-shaped assistant UI, and adds a swipe-down search or ask interaction that surfaces rich text result cards and quick actions. Critically, several outlets report that Apple may allow users to select third-party AI agents such as Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude directly from the Siri interface. At the same time, Apple continues development of on-device models under the Apple Intelligence branding, which TechCrunch notes are designed to run locally rather than in the cloud. For developers, this hybrid model is the story. If Apple routes privacy-sensitive or latency-critical tasks to Apple Intelligence on-device models, while escalating more complex queries to cloud-based systems like Gemini or ChatGPT, the implication is a multi-tier inference architecture at the OS level. That affects how app intents are registered, how data permissions are handled for photo and document uploads, and how telemetry is exposed under enterprise device management. The reporting also highlights deeper AI integration into camera and photos, upgrades to visual intelligence, a built-in grammar tool, and AI-enhanced shortcuts. If confirmed at WWDC on June 8th, this would position conversational AI not as an app-level feature, but as a first-class operating system primitive. Developers should prepare to map app actions to assistant intents, audit data flow for third-party model routing, and evaluate latency and compliance trade-offs between on-device and cloud execution. From software to silicon, our third top story focuses on memory infrastructure. CNBC reports that Samsung Electronics has begun shipping samples of its next-generation high-bandwidth memory chip, HBM4E, to customers globally. The 12-layer HBM4E is described as an industry first, capable of speeds up to 16 gigabits per second and offering 48 gigabytes of capacity per stack, more than a 30% increase over the previous generation, according to CNBC. Samsung also plans 8-layer 32 gigabyte and 16-layer 64 gigabyte configurations. Shares rose as much as 6.51%, with the stock last reported 3.67% higher at 310,501. TradingView reports that Samsung will send HBM4E samples to NVIDIA next month. That detail matters. Validation with a major accelerator vendor like NVIDIA is a critical step before qualification and volume production. For AI system architects, higher per stack capacity and 16 gigabytes per second signaling can reduce the number of memory packages required per accelerator. That simplifies PCB routing, potentially improves power efficiency, and changes board-level thermal planning. As model sizes and context windows grow, memory bandwidth and capacity are increasingly the bottlenecks. If HBM4E performs as advertised under system-level testing, it could materially influence the next generation of AI accelerators and hyperscale deployments. Now for a few other key updates in our lightning round. Microsoft is set to unveil a suite of homegrown AI models at its Build Developer Conference in San Francisco, according to Reuters and The Information. The lineup reportedly includes a new coding model aimed at boosting GitHub Copilot usage, along with models for transcription, reasoning, speech, and images. Yahoo Finance reports that Microsoft's internal AI team, led by Mustafa Suleyman, had previously faced restrictions under its OpenAI agreement that were renegotiated in April. Microsoft shares rose about 3% on the news. For developers, the key questions will be benchmarks, pricing, and how tightly these models integrate with GitHub Copilot and Visual Studio. On the security front, GB Hackers reports that a malicious NPM package called JSLogger Pack evolved across 29 versions into a cross-platform malware loader delivering a payload named Microsoft System 64. The 81-megabyte binary reportedly connects to a command and control server at 195.201.194.107 on port 8aus110 and supports 24 remote commands. The campaign allegedly harvested browser credentials across more than 15 browser families, targeted over 80 cryptocurrency wallet extensions, extracted Telegram desktop T-data, and exfiltrated SSH keys, including IDRSA and IDE 25519. Notably, researchers cited by GB Hackers, including JFrog, say a valid Hugging Face API token was abused for covert data exfiltration. This is a stark reminder that supply chain vigilance and dependency auditing remain non-negotiable. In open source security, a blog post from Caliph reports that an AI-assisted audit of FreeBSD uncovered 15 kernel bugs, including 5 local privilege escalations, 1 Pive guest-to-host escape, and multiple memory disclosure and denial of service issues. The post also references 3 remote code execution vulnerabilities in a rarely used module. For operators running FreeBSD-based appliances or virtualization stacks, tracking advisories and patch timelines is critical. In policy news, the BBC reports that the UK Home Office has awarded a £322,000 contract to Octar Computers Limited to develop an AI facial recognition system to estimate the ages of asylum seekers. The system is planned for further testing ahead of a mid-2027 rollout. Human Rights Watch has urged the government to abandon the scheme, calling it unproven. For practitioners, this highlights the importance of subgroup performance reporting, human review workflows, and transparent evaluation in biometric deployments. And finally, on the infrastructure side, Trane Technologies has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire LiquidStack, a specialist in immersion cooling and direct-to-chip cooling for data centers. According to Trane's press release, LiquidStack will join its Commercial HVAC Americas business unit. As AI workloads drive higher rack densities and thermal loads, tighter integration between facility-level cooling and chip-level liquid systems could meaningfully reduce integration friction for hyperscalers. And that's your AI briefing for today. The landscape is moving faster than ever, and we'll be here to track it with you. For more insights, visit us at letsdatascience.com. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, and we'll be back tomorrow with the latest in AI.